The Golden Age, a time of legendary comics and sky-high prices. January 2025 saw some major deals go down, including some blue-chip keys and a book with a controversial cover that got people talking. Which Golden Age grails topped the sales charts? It's time to talk about the Golden Age Chartbusters. These are the books that came out in 1938 to 1956. Get ready for some bangers.
Yeah.
Starting with Action Comics number 7. This book came out in 1938 for DC Comics. This is the second Superman cover appearance. A 6.0 sold at Heritage Auction on January 12th for $75,000. This is also a conserved grade.
Yeah. I mean, these books, you just, as a collector, you have to have an appreciation for them and the condition as well, even conserved. I mean, and again, you're talking such a niche market. You've got that person that buys the Action 1 and they're like, you know what I'm going to do? I want to get all the Action Comics. Like,
I don't even know how many, if there's some in existence. That's how hard it is to find some of them.
There cannot be many, given that the 1938, like, you know, I know that for sure during a certain time, and I don't remember the exact years, but they reduced the number of staples down to 2 or 1 sometimes.
Yeah.
Just to use the metal for the war effort.
Yeah.
And, you know, imagine a lot of the comics were probably destroyed then for the staples to be able to use them. It's just unbelievable.
Well, no one looked at comics at that time as collectibles either. So they were manhandled for the most part.
Yeah.
You know, they were traded off, they were written on, they were cut out. A lot of things happened to these books. So that's why they're so super rare. It's the Golden Age of comics. To have books from the Golden Age, even if it's insignificant, it has value.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, like, I own probably maybe 16 or 20 books from this era, and you know, they're not books that you could easily get them. They're $20 or $25. You can buy them, but they're like Looney Tunes or books like that, so not really superhero books.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got a Golden Age superhero book, it's going to be worth something for sure.
Yeah. Let's take a look at our next book here. More Fun Comics 52, 1940 DC Comics. This is the first appearance of the Spectre. This also sold at the Heritage Auction on January 12th for $108,000 for 6.5.
Maybe you can explain this to me. The price of this book and the character just do not seem to match up. I love the Spectre. I think he's a great character, but I don't really know why there isn't any subsequent issues that are worth this much money.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I honestly don't know what just happened. It just stopped. So let me get back here.
Yeah.
Your Chartbusters. So yeah, everything reset itself. So I don't even know. That's weird. I've never experienced that. Going back to what you were saying, let's rewind the clock a little bit.
Yeah.
What was the question you had again?
So what I was saying was, you look at this comic, and you know, first Spectre, which is great, and it just doesn't seem like it matches with the value. I love the Spectre. I think he's a great character, but look at his next appearance and the one after that. You can buy the whole 10-issue run of the Spectre in his kind of first solo series for a fraction of the cost of this. So it just is interesting to me that it sold for this much.
So yeah, you're right. I'm looking at cover price, and for this 6.5, this is one of the highest sales. It's the recorded sale. However, there is, and this is rare to me. I don't know. Take this with a grain of salt. There was a no grade sold for $5.
Oh,
For
wow.
so it doesn't really. I don't know. I don't know what it is really, but we only have 4 recorded sales for this book. The one that you see here is the 6.5, which is at $108. A 6.0, not that long ago in October, sold for $132,000. Um, and then the 1.0 sold for 10,000. So it's still a highly expensive book. I think it's has everything to do with the era,
Right.
more than it has to do with the character. However, the Spectre is he's one of the first supernatural characters. And
Yeah.
this version of the Spectre is very different than the one that we have today. Right? Very different. Um, do I think this book commands that money for its time and place? I say yes.
And you think about all of the facsimiles that DC's been doing, and the other companies, and you look at the value of this book, and it's strange that they haven't done this one yet.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna pop up sooner or later. They're just going down the gamut, really. But it's bound to happen. But I'm with you on it. I'm not 100% sold on it. I like the Spectre. I actually do like the Spectre as a character. Um, I don't know if this book should be worth more or less. I I'm just gonna say yes because it's time and its place in time. 1940. We're right at the cusp of the war too.
Yeah.
So so that's where you were talking about the rarity. That's probably what it is. Let's take a look at number 3. Number 3, this is a classic. Detective Comics 38, 1940. DC Comics, first appearance of Robin Dick Grayson. This book sold at the Heritage Auction on January 12th for $132,000. Let me say that again. $132,000 at an 8.0.
This just like comic book history, like 101, looking at this era. It's, you take nowadays in modern books and first appearances, and how many happen in a year, even, that would measure up to a character as important as Robin Dick Grayson. Like, is there one in a year? Maybe.
He's the boy wonder, man. He's really considered by most to be the first and greatest sidekick.
Well, yeah, and not
I wouldn't
just
call him
that,
the first sidekick, but at least superhero sidekick.
and he's actually developed. He's one of the rare characters that hasn't been locked into a mold. He's progressed. He's gotten older. He's changed his costume. He's had a existence outside of Robin, but
Yeah, he's
still
been allowed to
references.
grow up. He was allowed to grow up.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I agree with that. He was allowed to grow up, where other characters are stuck. Where they are. There's very few characters in comics that are allowed to grow up. Robin Dick Grayson happens to be one of them. Kitty Pryde, another one that's allowed to. She was allowed to grow up, but for the most part, a lot of them just stay where they are. I think Miles is going to stay the way he is for a while,
Yeah,
for a long time. Jubilee is going to stay the way she is, even though there are signs of her growing older. But I'm pretty sure they're going to DH her again in some weird way.
yeah.
But
Don't you have to try not to think about it too much, but you look at this appearance, and Robin is like what, 12 or 13, maybe,
he actually looks younger in
and
this appearance.
that would you'd lock Batman in at an age. Then if you fast forward to now and say that Nightwing is 30,
Mm-hmm.
34, that would put Batman at like 65 or whatever, and he's
Yeah.
definitely not. So you can see the disparage there, that Robin's was allowed to progress, but Batman has done very little, even though they are doing the storyline where he's getting older. He had to get the serum to be a little bit younger and all that. But
Yeah.
very interesting. I love comics.
You gotta love comics. So Detective Comics 38, the first appearance of the Boy Wonder Robin for $132,000. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. Like a 0.3 goes for 4,800. That's how expensive this book is. You know what I mean?
Oh man.
You know, and this is the highest known value of a growth. This is it. Highest known value. So it's just topped the charts. Let's take a look at number 2 in this list. Suspense Comics number 3. This came out in 1944 for Continental Comics. This is a classic bondage cover, 4.0, sold at the Heritage Auctions for $156,000.
Oh, Izzy. So I don't know if you watched it, but I did a video with a friend of mine, Jenny, and she's very new to comic collecting, but really loves it. And she really likes Wonder Woman. And we were at a Comic-Con, and she was looking through covers, and she was kind of wondering why there was a difference in the prices of some. And I just, flatly told her, if Wonder Woman is tied up, they're more money. And she had no idea about that. Like, she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, it's a bondage cover. If any character is tied up, especially, a woman, it's going to be worth more. And I mean, that's a lot of money to pay for, especially that cover too.
And you know what? For the price that it went for, I'm just gonna throw you what surrounding prices are worth. So 1.5 went for $51,600 on June 2024. A 4.5, higher grade than this one, sold at $55,200 on April 22nd, 22. 11,000 in 2003. Well, that was a long time ago. A 5.0 sold for 52,800 back in March of 2020. This book at this grade is an outlier.
Yeah, it's really strange that hearing those numbers, that it's gone like that. This one is so much higher. It's really strange.
This book is $100,000 more than the last sold 4.5.
Especially since the notations, really, it's just classic bondage cover. I mean,
yeah, but it says so much, man.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a bondage cover, which it is. It also has Nazi symbols, and it also depicts really the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah.
So you have all those elements. It's 1944, the end of World War II. I guarantee you, this book was one of the books that parents wanted to get rid of fast.
And, maybe you were onto something there. Like, maybe it is like the first time the Klan is on a book, and it's just not notated because they don't want to bring attention to that.
Possibly.
I'd have to look into that. Either way, like, you're 100% right. Like, any kind of group would use this as a prop to say, we need to get rid of comics.
Yeah. So there's a lot of history to this book. A lot of history.
Yeah.
And, it definitely outperformed the grades that are surrounding it. it's, and I'm just looking at the numbers here. The only book that sold higher than this one was the 9.0, and that was in 2015. That sold for $275.
Yeah.
And there is also a 9.2 that went for 262,900. That was in 2017. So this book at this price was definitely more than it actually was supposed to be.
Yeah. And for me, like, there isn't really anything redeeming about this cover personally. Like, there's no good that you can pull from this at all. It's got a whole lot of bad stuff going on.
Yeah, it's the type of book that, frankly, I wouldn't want to keep.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't. This is not a book I would like to display.
No, exactly.
Largely because I don't want someone walking in to my home, seeing that book, not knowing its significance. Really, let's be honest, the significance of the book, right? I don't want anybody seeing this book in my wall and say,
Yeah.
"What you doing with that?"
Well,
You get what I'm saying?
let's look at it. So I'm a huge Haunted Tank fan. I grew up on that book when I was young. I thought it was really cool that, like, a ghost was guiding their tank and all that. My grandfather was in the war, and there's some of the same imagery on that book, the Nazi imagery, but it's in a different context really than this one, because that's kind of who they were battling.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on that. Like, personally, this would never be a book that I would say, "Oh, look what I picked up. Look at this awesome book." Like,
yeah, if I was to own this book, it would be and I would just show it off to the people that understand what this book is. So this is a book you would show off in, like, Only Slabs, right?
Yeah.
But it's not the book that you want to just show to your friends, because first of all, the price tag, right? But second of all, it's just all it's screaming is this isn't good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
To me, it's like, does not signify what comics are about.
yeah, it has a place of history, of course, but
Yeah.
they want to have a piece of history. That's what this is. This is a piece of history that exists, but it's also a piece of history that's very harmful.
Well, and unfortunately, the harsh truth is, you've got people that have money that want to display this because that's what they like.
Yeah. Yeah, and we suspense comic number 3. This came out number 2, and now it's time for the number 1 book, the highest selling book in the month of January. You want to take a wild guess what it is?
I don't remember, and I don't know. Let's see it. I can't wait.
It's the cream of the crop. Action Comics number 1. A 6.5 restored 1938. There's, if you don't know what this is about, then you're not a comic book collector. It's the first appearance of Superman, and it's sold in the Heritage auction, I want to say for a low price of $384,000.
So the thing that anybody watching might find sad, or might relate to, is often when I go to sleep, I think about winning the lottery, and then the next thing I think of is all the awesome comics I would buy, because it wouldn't matter about the price. I would just say, buy it, buy it, buy it. And this is on there.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get much more historical than this one.
I want to give you insight. So this is a restored comic. A standard 6.0. Standard, not restored. Sold it back in September of 2022.
Oh yeah, I know where we're going with this.
For $3.4 million.
Izzy, can you even imagine? You bought this book and you believe everything happened, you bought it raw, and you send it in, and you believe it's 100% natural, and now you're sitting on a book that could be worth between, you don't know the grade for sure, but you're going to guess it's between 2 million and 3 million, and it comes back restored. Oh man.
I feel you. But at the same time, it's still Action Comics #1.
Yeah. But
You know what I mean?
$1 million for it.
Now, if I paid $1 million, I'll be pissed. I'll admit to that part, but you're gonna tell me, and I, like I said, it's a 6.5 restored for the golden age book of the books. This is, you can't get higher than this. You can't get bigger than this. This is the book that started this whole thing that we call being a collector, right? Superman's first appearance, the greatest comic book that's ever been created. And yeah, I said it, right? You're going to tell me that this book at a 6.5 for $384 isn't worth it?
Oh, it is. Like, look at how clean that looks.
And like you said, if the book was restored, I don't care. It was restored so it could look better. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. That was just hypothetical. Like, if you would in all likelihood know before it ever got to be sent to grading if it was restored or not.
But I'm amazed at the prices, because an untouched version goes for millions.
Yeah.
Millions. This is going just for a fraction of that. A fraction of that. Because I'm looking at this list now, 9.0 restored goes for $794,000. That's what's the last sale. That was in December. Right? This one, I'm willing to bet this is the same book. This one was $324,000. So I'm the seller. The seller bought this book back in October, and he made a profit.
Yeah.
Made a profit. That's a win. That's a win. I would love to have this book, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to sell it because I can't afford that thing to be here.
No.
Not in this apartment, but you know what I mean? But I'll probably use it to buy a house or something like that. I would love to own it, but my life comes first.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you feel differently in the chat, you let me know. But I want to say I had it. I've held it in my hands. I know that much.
Oh, having any of these Golden Age books, even the AF-15, it's a huge flex, right?
Yeah. It's like, hey, honey, you wanna? I got an AF. I got an Action Comics #1. What's up?
Yeah.
What's your name?
That's how we envision that going in our heads. Then every comic geek around.
So, wow, what a list! What do you think, Shane? We went through the whole gamut. I love the fact that in our very first show, we get an Action Comics #1.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool, and an AF-15 as well.
I know.
So that was awesome, man. I hope you guys enjoy this segment. We can't wait to do them again in February in March, really, for February's numbers. Obviously, this is gonna be the big one for the show. This is the big segment, I'll say. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more comic content. Check out these other videos for even more insight, and I'll see you at the next one. Excelsior.